Hey everyone, today we're going to go over contests inside of Neighborly Events. And I'm going to create a contest, go over all the options. Then we're going to preview the contest before it's published. We're going to open it up for entries. We're going to see what it's like to manage entries coming through. Then we're going to open for voting, demonstrate some voting. Then finally, we're going to close the contest, manage the results, send out announcement emails, and see what the whole process is like. I'm going to go over as much detail as I can, but if you have any questions, you can always go to the site, hit the little need help button, send me a message, and this will go directly to my Slack and email, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Okay, so to start with the contest, you would first go over to the sidebar, select the contest icon here. And I have a few set up, but we're going to go ahead and start with from scratch and create a new contest. And what's nice is I have a few templates here that you can select from with a few variants and options in terms of the categories and things. For this demonstration, we're going to do a holiday contest, and I'll click the Create Contest button for that. Okay, this jumps you in right into the main Edit Contest screen. And here we have lots of different sections that we can get into and customize. But if you just went ahead and used this, it's going to be mostly functional and customized to a degree that's satisfactory. Okay, so first we have the title, and we're going to preview to see what this all looks like. I guess we could do that first. So over here, there's the View Contest button that I'm going to click and open in a new tab. Okay, and then this is the contest management screen. Here it shows links that you would give out to the public to view. So this is how you can preview your contest as an organizer before it's published. You can take this entry link, and we can again open this in a new tab. And this is out of the box what it would look like for somebody viewing this before it's published. It's going to show the title up here, and this is the organization name that you have configured, contest, and number of entries currently. This is the description, which I will show you how to customize. The timeline, which again this is just some defaults, but we can go ahead and customize this ourselves. And finally, the categories with a name, description, and even you can put a prize here. And then when this is actually published, there will be another button here for submitting your entry, which I will show you in a little bit. Okay, so going back now, we can see the description here that we just saw. You can add images to this. You can just drag them in. I think, or you might be able to use this attachment button that might get you the image selector as well. And then here we have a voting description, which is pretty much the same as this, but it will be the description shown to the voters when we open it up for voting. We have the different periods here shown, when you can start putting in your entries and when you end the entry period, and voting open and close. Now you can go ahead and manually perform the actions of opening and closing these states. But if you don't, I believe it will open and close automatically. I have to actually double check because I assume people will mostly do this manually. So this, even if this isn't 100% accurate, if you go ahead and you open up voting earlier than this or close it later, it's going to respect the state up here. I should show you these. These are the different states. So you can go ahead and manage that from here, or with this view contest, or I'll jump around and we go here to manage. This is the contests section over here on the left. This shows you some of the management options. You're always going to see the next relevant transition up here. So publish and open is the first thing that we can do. Right now we're in a planning state. If I click this, it will go ahead and open it up. And then after we open it up, there's a button for initiating the voting state, and then finally closing, which will end the contest. And then we'll go over all those states in a bit. So we'll go back to the edit screen. Okay, so next we'll go down to this option for max photos per entry. Currently, by default, it allows 10 photos to be submitted per entrant. You could increase or decrease that. And then there's also a max categories per household. I think by default, this is 1. You can make this blank and save it. At any point, you can save what you're doing down here. And this will allow each submitter or entrant to select any number of categories to enter if you would like, or you could limit that. Okay, so below here it says display entry addresses. I believe this is required if you want to have a viewable map for people to vote and to see where these entrants are in your neighborhood. So I think by default this is allowed to display entry addresses. Anonymous entries, this is for making sure the names of the entrants are not shown but are seen internally. So if somebody enters the contest, we're going to collect their full name and some contact information. This just allows you to toggle what's viewable to people voting and things. I have to double check if it would even show a name. I don't think names are really something people want to be shown. So we'll probably just check this as anonymous, and then we can double check if we want to reveal that. So lastly, there's allow video submissions. I saw some feedback that people wanted to include videos for the last contest, so I added support for adding a YouTube video link, not necessarily uploading your video to our site, but hosting it on YouTube, which I think is fairly straightforward. And then they can supply their link, and we will show the embedded video as part of their entry. And finally, there's require address verification for entrants. I don't think we're going to have a lot of people wanting to skirt the rules for submitting their entry outside of the neighborhood. But what this will allow us to do is customize and display a dialogue warning for everybody entering the contest. And by default, it does focus on your residency of Portola Springs in our example neighborhood. And so you could take that and leave it if you think that's a reasonable warning to display. But you can also add other things in here which you might want to confirm with people submitting that, hey, your address will be shown, you know, whatever you want to ensure people acknowledge as a sort of agreement. You can add that information here, and instead of saying I'm a resident, you can say I agree to the rules, just for some peace of mind. Okay. And the next section, categories. So I have some default categories shown with the name, description, and prize. These can all be removed, edited, and you can add as many categories as you want. However, you can also require that people submitting for each entry have a description included, and then you can have a description prompt, if you would like that level of detail. Let's see. I have to double check if we can allow an overall description per entry. Let's see. Okay, and next we have the contest theme. So this is what's shown by default. You can change this to any number of the themes. We have a winter theme. You can use that, or you can go ahead and kind of customize it to your liking. There's some fonts that are mainly used in this sort of banner, but I think it's also used in some of the emails and different things, so you can go ahead and change colors or icons and different things as a simple way to get some customization options. Next, we have the entry settings. Okay. Right, here we go. So this is the information that we're going to collect by default. Their email address, first, last name, home address, and we have address verification setting here. I believe that's a duplicative setting, so I can double check that. And we have a phone number as an optional item to collect. Probably makes sense to enable that. And then here we can also require that people submit an overall description for their entry. I think that's a good idea. And optionally, you can require that they describe each photo. However, I think that's a little bit much. So for the voters, so when we switch to allowing voting, what information do we want to collect about people voting? By default, it's going to be email, first, last name. You can also collect address and require address verification for voting, if you would like. And you can also check this if you would like to send a voting confirmation email. I think that's helpful just to give people extra assurance that yes, their vote went through, was counted, etc. And then finally, there's some customizations here you can do about an announcement email that will go out to all the voters and entries to show the results of your contest. But this is something that we can customize in a dedicated view that's viewable once the contest closes. We'll be able to customize and confirm all of these emails at that point, so you don't really have to worry about this up front. And then lastly, the organizer notification section. These are all sorts of emails that you can opt in to receive as the organizer, and you can CC as many people as you would like on these. So you can put your own email address in here, and then you can have all the additional emails you want to also receive this configured here. And here's the various options for different events that you can receive emails for. First one is entry submissions. I think that's a pretty important one. Every time somebody submits an entry, you'll get an email confirmation yourself, so you can keep track of those events. You can also get emails for all voting submissions. Now, the way voting works is, since there's multiple categories, I do count and collect votes per category separately, and I count that as a single vote. Now, I only send in these emails out if somebody voted for all the categories, because I don't want to spam the inbox, essentially. So once somebody's voted once for all the categories, then there'll be a confirmation if that's configured out to the person voting. And also you'll get the notification that somebody completed their votes as the organizer if you check this option. Next, there's the unverified address, entries, email. So if you do enable the address verification feature and you want to go in and you want to be notified when someone submits an unverified address, that is an address that's outside of the boundary that we configure for our neighborhood, you can get that email and then you can view where their address is located in comparison to the boundary on a map, and then you can decide to allow that submission or you can reject it and customize a message that will be sent out to them as to why their entry was not accepted. And finally, there's a contest results email. So once the contest comes to a close, there's a notification email that you can configure to be sent out that will give a summary of the results, and then it will start the management process from there, and no additional emails will be sent out to people voting or the entries. So you don't have to worry about customizing information that's going to go out to people immediately. You can close the contest. You will get the summary with this email configured, and then you can go ahead and think about, what you want to send to each winner, what you want to send out to the general community of the people who voted and that entered, and have control of that process and preview those emails before you go ahead and send them. And so that's everything for customizing the contest up front. Okay, I'm going to head and save that. And now let's go ahead and take a look at how we will operate the event. So I'm going to go to View Contest. And this shows the timeline up front, the current summary for how many entries we have and how many votes we have per category. And then here we have our sort of link section. So this is automatically going to go to the relevant state and the links that are available per state. You can see that there's 3 subtabs here. The entry links, right? So this is the initial link that you can send out that will be an invitation for people to enter the contest. I have a link shortener that automatically gets generated. In this demo, I'm not going to use the link shortener because it's not configured to work with my local environment, but it will work. You can also customize this, to be whatever you would like and update it. So you don't have to use anything special for doing a link shortener outside of our site. You can use the internal one. There's also QR codes that you can download if you want to include that in any custom banner that you want to generate by clicking this button. And there's also a banner, which essentially has our theme and everything included if you want to download a banner and include that, if you want to avoid doing some of that design work. So you can click these tabs, and there's the same kind of link available for every different state. So once voting gets enabled, there's a link for voting that you can use, and then finally there's a link for results when the contest is over that will let people see the results without having to worry about if they voted or not. They just want to see the results after it's closed. This is another link you can distribute with QR codes and all the same stuff as before. Okay, if we continue to scroll, we'll again see a summary of the categories, and then on the bottom, once we get some people entering, we'll see entries here, and we'll see also a section here for voting. So let's go ahead and open the contest up and see what it's like to enter. So I'm going to scroll back up at the top. I'm going to click the Publish and Open Entries button. Great. And you're going to see that now the warning here for it being in the wrong state is gone. And this is the link that you could copy and send out. You can get the QR code. It will now be active for people to go and participate. For my purposes, I'm going to use this link, which will work for my environment. And I'm going to show you in a separate tab what it's like to enter into the contest. This is what I would see. There's going to be the enter now action now available at the bottom. I'm going to be able to preview all the options, and when I click this, I'm going to see this warning, which we can customize if we would like by editing this section. So we have all the same text here previewed, but we can go ahead and customize all of this, including the button. I'm going to confirm that. I'm going to put in some test information. Okay, so I can check here which category I want to enter, and I can have my photos here and also a video. So I'm going to go ahead and actually just drag in some photos that I have that are stock images. You can also click this and do the dialogue, and then I'm going to go ahead and just add a YouTube link. Here's a YouTube link, and I'm going to go ahead and submit my entry. At this point, as the person submitting, I will receive an email, and let me show you what the email would look like. Okay, so this is the preview of what the email would look like for submitting this entry. They'll get a confirmation code, summary of their details, what they entered, how many photos that they submitted with their entry, and a button that will get them back here to be able to customize their entry. All right. Okay, so the thing I want to show about after you've entered is you can change your categories. You can also go ahead and reorder your photos. So if you want your main photo, your best photo to be first, and you want to decide what that is, you can go ahead and drag these so you can pick which one you want to be first. And then this shows the video. Here is a preview. Gives you confirmation that that is working fine, and gives you some information here about the timeline. Now let's go back to our management of the event. If configured, you should also get a notification that this entry was submitted. I can refresh, and now you'll see at the top that we have entries for 2 of the 3 categories, and you'll see the entrant details here at the bottom, and you'll be able to search and find these. If somebody emails and they want to ask a question or change some details, you can view their entry here and perform some actions. Go back. We need to add the ability to edit and remove entries from the backend, but the submitter can actually withdraw their entry and of course change the details here. But I would also want to add this for the organizer, so I'll just make a note. Okay, so go back. Now, the next thing, after we receive the entries, we want to enable voting. So you can do that. I think it will happen automatically to, if you want to open it yourself, go ahead in the same management screen. If you're just logging in, you go back to contests on the side. There's a button to do it here. We could go into manage, open voting, or if you're editing the event, you can just click voting open and save. They all do the same thing. Okay, voting is now open. You can see the links automatically show now for the voting state. I'm going to go ahead and copy a link to show what it would look like on my other screen. Okay, so this is what the system looks like when voting is open. This is what we had configured. And then we're going to go ahead and continue. So this kind of saves a session to your browser. So if they closed this and reopened it, they would see their voting progress. But this is what it looks like. It encourages you to kind of look at one category at a time, place your vote, scrolls to the next category, shows your progress up here, and at the end it says it gives you a confirmation that you've completed your vote. But you can also look at the map view, which now we only have one entry, but you'd be able to see a map of all the entries, and if you want to look at them that way, you can go ahead and do that and vote that way. The voting is a little bit limited here because I only entered into 2 of the 3 categories. So I'm going to go ahead and just show you one thing, which is clicking an entry. And then we can kind of just want to show you that you can scroll through and look at all the images like this and play the video like this. But if something's a little bit small, you can zoom in on the image and make it a little bit bigger if we'd like to do that. And this is what it's like to vote. For one, it updates this up here and then scrolls to the next section and allows you to continue voting. Now, because I only did 2 of the 3 categories, it doesn't show that you completed your votes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to another contest that I have set up with a little bit more entries, and I'm going to manage this one and show you the voting for different contests that I have set up, just so you can see. Okay, so this one has some more houses viewable. You can go through and see. You can also expand full screen. But I just want to show you what the voting looks like when we have them all. So I voted one category, scroll to the next category. I also want to mention that the entries in the order that they're listed is randomized. Every time somebody loads this page, it will be a slightly different order for when they'll see each entry. So to mitigate the bias that could be for the order of the submission, which I would like to avoid. So I go ahead and cast my votes for all 3 categories. And at the end, I'll say, thank you for voting. I'll receive a confirmation email that my vote was counted. And actually, it is counting the votes even before I get to the end. So even for the entry and for voting, there's always the share link, so people can go ahead and take a look at people that want to share the contest link to, or just be done. There's other helpful links and information on this page, such as upcoming events and other contests if they're active, and links that you would like to share with your community. You can customize that in the resource section. Okay, so let's go ahead and close this contest, which has a little bit more activity in it. I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so I close the contest. Something that will happen is there's an email that will go out, if configured, for the contest results. This is the email that should go out to the organizers. This will give you a summary, how many different entries there were, how many votes were cast. Now this counts each vote per category, right? So 3 categories, 3 votes, and total number of photos. And it will give you what is the default winners for each category and show them. But if you would like, you can go ahead and customize the winners and go ahead and personalize messages and send out the emails that will go out to your community. So this outlines what the next steps are. If you click this link, you'll get to the results dashboard, which we're already looking at, but we'll show it again. So here's the results screen, and shows the summary of information. And here's kind of the main overview of the tally, and it shows the order. So at the top has the most votes to the least votes for this category that's currently being shown. Now, if you look through all of the different categories and you see, maybe the same person won multiple categories and you want to be, and internally you decided you want to give the winner to someone else, it's perfectly fine. You can go ahead and drag this person to the top and you can allow somebody to win category just by making that choice for one reason or another. And here's all 3 categories you can scroll between and confirm. Now if we continue to scroll down, this is where you can customize the message that will go out to each winner. Now for this message you can't add images, but you could also grab their information. So if I click this button, you can get their email from here, which will bring up your email tool, or you can click this and you can get some information about their submissions as well, including their address, and if they have other contact information included in their submission, you'd be able to see all that information here. So if you want to avoid this system for sending out messages, you can, but if you want to use it, you can as well. So this is the message you can customize, and you can put your email address in here and send a test email. So you can customize each one of these messages, hit save to confirm what I'm going to send. And if you're happy with these messages customized for each winner, you can click this button to send them out to each recipient. Hit OK. And then you'd be able to see emails going out to each winner here with your custom message. This is just because I can see all the emails in my test environment. You wouldn't be able to necessarily see these emails, but you'll see that it's indicated as from the neighborhood configured contact. So you should be able to CC yourself on these emails as well. I have to look through this and confirm the configuration for that as it's new functionality. So lastly, there's the message that will go out to the larger community and the people who have participated, either as submitting an entry and not necessarily being a winner, or just voting in the contest. So you can go ahead and customize this message. I just have an image just to test the image functionality here. But you can see that you can have a rich editing experience for the email that will go out to everybody. And you should also be able to test that email and send it to yourself. See what that email would look like. By default, it will have this information, and it will show the winners themed in your colors selected for your theme for each category. It will show who won each one, and then the images and your custom information here, and give people a link to view the results back on our site. So that link I'll show on this side, which doesn't have the side panel. Will show like this. It will show your customized description here, and then if they scroll, they'll see the winner of each category with the other participants included as well, and some stats that they'll be able to view, and your community links and things here. Also, they can click the map view, and if they would like, they can go ahead and see where all these entries are located, and the winners are also indicated with the trophy icon, and they can click through and decide to go ahead and visit any number of entries. So that about wraps up the contest feature. If you have any questions about how to use any of this functionality, or run into any issues, I expect a few things here or there might be still needing some work, please feel free to reach out with this help button here, or to send me a message if you have my contact information. I'll be happy to get back and make any last minute fixes or adjustments to the system to meet your needs. Thank you so much.